I greet you once again. This should aid the Genesis tree's growth once more. I founded the Keepers of the Flame long ago. This place is our haven, a sacrosanct location where we care for the Genesis tree. The Keepers serve, and are served, by the benevolent Dreamer. His teachings and gifts keep us on the path of discipline and truth. When our minds transcend our mortal coil, the benevolent Dreamer guides us with visions and portents. Though it is not our only purpose, long has he prepared us for the war against the Hiveborn. I live half in dream. To you that may sound strange, but truth lies beyond the wall of sleep. It is the very foundation of our faith. Dreams are more real to me now than the waking world is to you. I'll see you again. She is pleased. Welcome. Be at peace.
Hello, hello, hello. I think I can sell that. Business. Hello, hello, hello.
Greetings. Farewell. Hello. Till next time, shall we keep, Savior?
monarch is gone.
I've almost got it! Victory!
Good to see you in Sarn once again. I wish that we could be greeting under fairer skies, yet this city remains clouded in strife. Lunaris, eternal goddess of the moon, and her sister Solaris of the sun, have risen to reclaim what was once their own. Siblings equal in strength, mighty twin rivers converging, sweeping all before them. We are cornered animals, awaiting the deluge that will surely drown us. Yet there exists a pair of ancient treasures, the sun orb and the moon orb. They are our hope. Grigor is the butterfly that has lost its wings to a cruel child, and this place of respite has become a cage for his pain, a breeding ground of bad memory. We spoke, and Grigor shared his resolve with me. He can no longer live with the torment that piety has injected into his heart. Like the warrior poet he is, Grigor has ventured into the unknown to find a cure for his body and mind, or die in the attempt. The dead do not love the living, and the living cannot love the dead. People fear what they do not understand. I understand, Clarissa. I am not frightened of her. I am frightened for her. They walked our earth in the times of great strife, cruel and hideous shadows cast against the clay wall of ruined abode. Thaumaturge Malachi grew them out of the vain ambitions of his dark imaginings. Emperor Chittis believed the legionnaires belonged to him, that Gemline men would beat to the drum of his own crystalline heart. But as the silhouette of the Emperor faltered and fell, burned out by the light of true men, some of the Legion remained. The cataclysm turned legionnaire into monster, another mindless man of undeath. Yet this captain seems to have regained his faculties, some of his old warrior intelligence. I worry. Talakora, go with courage.
Good to see you still soldiering on. With all these gods and past horrors wandering around Sarn, I don't assume anyone's alive and kicking these days. Good luck to you.
Dodry Darktongue is the insidious infection that threatens to make septic the great and terrible wound that is Sarn. However, any certainty that I had as to her exact whereabouts has been sundered by the sheer stench of her presence. We shall have to deduce her location from those who know the area best. These locals that cling to Sarn like hungry maggots. Farewell.
If Sarn wasn't mad enough, now we've got some whip-tongued hag cooking up a stinking curse in the sewers. Took it from her mother-in-law at first. But no, based on my meagre historical knowledge, I reckon we have a certain Dodry Darktongue to contend with. Where in blazes is she hiding? I have no idea. So, the only way we're going to catch this witch is by getting our hands, and possibly a lot more, well and truly dirty. And by we, I mean you, of course. The sewers are no place for a simple businessman like me. Do us a favour. Head into them sewers and track that old hag down. Get her to reveal herself, and put her down. Ha! Better your eyes than mine, eh? Quite the pretty pair, aren't they? Yeah, it's pretty bloody disturbing. That girl was once the sweetest lass I could name. Nowadays she's barking as batshite over that living corpse of hers. All it would take is a quick hard bash with a rock, and Tolman would no longer be a problem. Tempting, don't you think? Needing my eclectic expertise again, are we? Solaris and Lunaris got front and centre stage among them folks at the Eternal Empire. Solaris was thought to be the light of leadership, guiding and enlightening each emperor that sat the throne. In practice, most of them emperors turned out to be a bit dim. But then history and theology have never quite seen eye to eye. As for Lunaris, a goddess of the moon and earth, the mother of dreams and inspiration. Doesn't sound like a bad lady until you consider that dreams harbour nightmares, and that inspiration is just one notion shy of insanity. Grigor left without a single word to me, rude bugger. But I suspect his poetic soul has been drawn back home to Izmir. A long journey, but a trip worth taking to find solace among one's own people. Of course, they'll get quite the shock when they see him. Let's hope familial love is as nearsighted as they say. There are the fine tales Grigor will be able to tell them, of course. Come to think of it, now that Dominus has been knocked off his perch, there's nothing to stop the Izamites from learning a thing or two from Grigor's story. They might even consider invading this jewel in Рэкласт's tarnished crown. I certainly hope they have just such an eye for opportunity. A man could make a tidy sum helping said invaders navigate Sarn and its many hazards. Bring me back something nice, huh?
Sarn is changing, and so are we who live here. There, Tolman. Don't you worry. I love you. I'll think of something. You told me Tolman was gone. You were wrong. I found him. No, Tolman, I never gave up on you. His soul remains, flickering deep down inside. Oh, Tolman, I know you're in pain, but it'll be over soon, I promise. My heart aches for Grigor. I know the battle in which he's engaged. It's like my own, a fight to make sense of life in a land that deems life to be worthless. I don't know where he's gone, but I do know he's looking to find himself, his true self, as we all must do in our own time. By all accounts, Tarkus Veruso was a ruthless despot, a man to rival even the likes of Dominus. Yet his heart of stone contained one precious theme, his love for his wife, Kiara. So when the poor young woman died giving birth to Veruso's son, the grieving emperor threw aside his great convictions and placed his last hope in thaumaturgy, in the Ankh of eternity. Perhaps it was shame that drove Tarkus to lock the Ankh away, to steal such hopes from his descendants. It was he who had asked his people to turn their backs on the ancient arts, so what right had he to enjoy that? As I understand it, the Ankh of Eternity was somehow able to return the dead to the full bloom of life. There was nothing necromantic about it. Rather, it was a source of true resurrection. How it came to exist, I honestly don't know. A couple of inscriptions I read treated the Ankh as some sort of gift to Veruso from the Val. But surely the Val were long gone by Veruso's time, weren't they? No matter. Despite the vagaries of the Ankh's origins, Veruso used the Ankh to return his young wife from the deathbed to the wedding bed. The accounts are unanimous on that point.
Be careful.
Greetings. If we are to see the dawn of a new era for humankind, the sun must be taught to behave herself. Upon that mighty span between Sarn's left hand and its right, Solaris burns to consume every single moment of existence. Sparing no thought for life and its needs, she would see the world parched barren before she yields to reason. The sun must be allowed to set so that it may rise again as a blessing, not a curse. Self-loving Solaris, all the light in the world yet blinded by her own pride. Not once did she pause to question the truth of her sister's betrayal. Instead, she gloated over her sister's transgressions, proclaiming herself greater and more honorable than Lunaris could ever be. I suppose one shouldn't be surprised when a sun deity takes the higher ground. We approach the zenith of our divine hunt, upon the bridge that chokes the great wet throat of Sarn. Lunaris, in her cold fury, has forgotten that the warming sun of morning is as life-giving as the cooling damp of evening. The empire Lunaris dreams of shall be lit by moon and twinkling stars, and life itself shall wither away in the perpetual night. One of two sisters who ruled the most populous and powerful of the ancient Asmerian tribes, Solaris was thought to guide the sun across the sky with threads of shimmering gold, whilst Lunaris saw to the wax and wane of moon with a sickle of purest silver. It was a peaceful partnership, until the trickster Tang Mazu happened upon their domain. In turning sister against sister, he saw to the massacre of thousands, whilst concealing the source of their futile feud beyond all reckoning. Feel no pity for the moon. She is a cold and distant fool, far less radiant than she would suppose. Goodbye.
Hello. See you.
I cannot do this yet.
Fear gnaws at the entrails of the faithful and the faithless alike. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the future. An empire requires leadership that can assuage those fears through example, through wisdom, through strength. An emperor lights the way through the darkened caverns of uncertainty. Shine boldly, so that all may find you when the night falls. Ascend with precision. In the impressionable youth of my reign, I was encouraged to believe in the precious nature of my imperial blood. The divine claret, as one fool of a courtier would repeat with tiresome regularity. Unfortunately, my divine claret refused to pour from one cup to another.
The weary traveler draws close to the end.
The Asmeri were the first culture known in history to use trials of strength, wisdom, and
When one defiles the effigy, one defiles the emperor.
trial was a rough-hewn maze festooned with wild animals and brutal traps.
Receive your sentence.
Inspiring Asmerian leaders, body and mind and soul. In conquering the adversities of the maze, a champion proved
Such
they were
resilience.
capable of bearing the crushing burden of
Those who stand should never outnumber those who
simple
kneel.
contraptions reflecting simple times. As the Asmerian civilization grew in number and complexity, so did the trials, from treacherous mazes to bewildering labyrinths. Alas, there are no surviving descriptions of the labyrinth that tested and proved the worth of Viruso Prima Imperialis. I imagine it was quite something to behold.
I cannot do this yet.
The son of Esamir met the son of Sarn upon the road to the imperial throne. The Eternal offered his cunning. His eyes and ears bought and paid for. The Esamite offered his strength. His sword, earned in the arena. A pact was forged, with the labyrinth as witness. Two men separated by blood. Two men bound by hope. Two men, and only one emperor. The Esamite and the Eternal took their rest in the lee of Strife's gale and remembered the trampled road. Beast and fiend had fallen and led to the Esamite's sword, swift and true. Trap and trial had risen and succumbed to the Eternal's wits, quick and true. Two men had cried their triumph, a warrior and his guide. Whilst other ascendants...
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation. An emperor is only as efficient as those he commands. Such resilience. Commit to your cause. Only one of your lessons was completed, Ascendant.
I cannot do this yet.
An aspirant can afford to be promising. An emperor must keep those promises. The Empire awaits you with open jaws. Honor your name. I die for the Empire.
Need some help? Watch yourself.
Hello. Hopefully there'll be interest.
Once more into the breach, and once more we return victorious. Although I have to admit, I did not relish the sensation of imbibing that foul witch's soul. I felt decidedly unclean. Still, our journey nears completion. To the north lies Highgate, and the cessation of our efforts to extract the dark ember from my dearly departed beast. And none too soon. Every hour, Katava's strength grows, and the longer he and the other gods dwell on this land, the less is humanity's chance of survival. Once more into...
These owl eyes of mine have been watching the sun goddess from afar. The sun orb lies within her temple, guarded by her most ardent devotee, an exile who, in his insanity, has taken to calling himself the Dawn. That orb is the seed that must be stolen from this new son of hers and planted at the feet of his ancient mother. I've been keeping a close eye on that exile-turned-sycophant who called himself the Dusk. Dusk carried the moon orb into the Linares temple and has not returned with it, not as far as I have seen. No doubt he clings to that orb like it's his adopted mother's own nurturing breast. If you were to wean him from the teat and place that orb at the bereft mother's feet, we may yet see the moon itself fall. Talakora.
You'd suppose someone as crafty as Dodri would have kept their ugly head under wraps as soon as she saw you coming. I guess death robs us of many things, including our common sense. In any case, thank you. The sewers can run clear now that there's no fetid witch clogging up the pipes. Here, have a little something to commemorate your fine clean-up job. Tell me something. Any chance you might be willing to join forces and turn a healthy profit with old Argon? You ever heard of the Wings of Visteri? Not just another damned artifact. This one was the highest symbol of the office of the Meriketh, held by the Sechima of Sechimas. History books will say the wings were last worn by Sechima Asenath, the Golden Sechima, the one who went and got herself murdered by Hector Tatusius. The only problem is that Tatusius himself is up and guarding his pretties once more. Still, if you can recover those Wings of Visteri, then I'm confident I can sell them back to the Meriketh for a fair sum. They're a cultural icon after all, dripping with sentimental value. What do you say? What little humanity General Tatusius was born with, he traded in for strength. Went as far as to have Malachi replace his joints with virtue gems. Mad bastard. Afterwards, Emperor Chittus charged Tatusius with subduing the Meriketh. A job he took a little too much pleasure in, if you ask me. Good luck to you.
Exile, you've helped me before. You can help me again, can't you? My hope waits for me to the east, tucked away in a shrine in the Key. The Ankh of Eternity. Veruso, Prima Imperialis, placed it there himself at the dawn of the Empire. If the legends are correct, the Ankh has powers over life and death. When paired with the correct Asmerian ritual, I've learned the ritual. All I need is the Ankh of Eternity, and I know I can bring Tolman back. Properly, this time. Will you retrieve the artifact for us? I've tried, but the creatures around the shrine... simply too dangerous. Yes, Tolman, I'm getting to that. I've already prepared a site for the ritual out in the quay. Please, meet us there with the...
Be careful.
How you doing? A word of caution. That unk. It might have had some miraculous powers, but I bet there's a nasty reason why Veruso hid the bloody thing away. I've tried to warn Clarissa, but her ears seem as dead as their boyfriend of hers. Don't do anything I would.
I cannot do this yet. cannot do this yet.
You found them! No easy feat, I bet. How's old Hector these days? Not so good after you cross paths with them, am I right? I'll polish these wings up and get them back to their owners, just as soon as my Mariketh friend can get her folks to pay the ransom. Price, I mean. In the meantime, take a little something from my stock as payment. Well, they're forged from solid gold. I can tell you that much. But I suppose that's not really what you're asking about. The wings are a treasured piece of the Mariketh heritage. Back when the tribes quit their squabbling and joined hands to battle the Eternal Empire, the wings were seen as a symbol of their unity. The Golden Sakhima wore them as she led the whole bloody Mariketh horde against Sarna. She was a single greatest hope for the Mariketh, was that Asenath. Hector Tatutius crushed both their hopes and their precious Sakhima. Don't do anything I would.
In Azaro's grotesque little garden, you'll find an old friend of mine, the yawning maw that is Yugo, but a self-portrait of what that pathetic creature has come to believe about the nature of fear. Those who look upon him see their own fears reflected in his horrifying visage. Vaal scholars seem compelled to answer all manner of strange and troubling questions. Ugol was one such scholar. Whilst plumbing the depths of humanity, he came to believe that there was no truer expression of humanity than pure terror. He would induce terror in children and then capture their reactions within eldritch mirrors, devices of his own creation that could petrify fear for extended study. Through his gallery of reflected terror, Ugol came to understand human nature so well that he was able to manipulate his way into the Vaal halls of leadership, and eventually grew so feared and renowned that he ascended into godhood. Farewell.
I heard tell of an ancient Vaal scholar who bore the name Ugol. He'd conduct these grisly experiments in pursuit of some piece of nasty wisdom tucked in the nether regions of human terror. Practiced on young kiddies, no less, scaring the living shite out of Vaal toddlers and then nabbing their fear within a hall of thaumaturgical mirrors. Could be the whole story's a crock, and here's where it gets even hazier. Seems old Ugol found something in that fear, enough to scare a whole swag of Vaal into worshipping him. Honestly, some people will worship anything for a bit of spiritual peace of mind. Bring me back something nice, huh?
Yes. Watch yourself.